They're having me cut back on. I'm not even sure how to say all this one. They were showing me somebody had come through and they were, they were crying and upset and apologizing, but it was that recognition of who they had been and who they were, and yet they were free now and understood. So it was kind of weird in that sense. Let me just try to spit it out. It was like, oh, it's okay. Like I realized it too. I recognized it. I recognized it then. Like it, how do I say this? Like it was sad for me too. It's like, I understand when we are not loving ourselves. I've shared it with you this way before because it's the imagery they show me and share with me. And so of course they do, because they understand how my mind works and how I understand it. And so it's what works best for me to visualize and understand. But you have to read through and understand it and translate it into your understanding our language. But when we are not loving ourselves, right? When we are not truly aligned and standing in our truth, erect, firm, aligned, honest, true with ourselves and others, we're essentially an open vessel for lower energies to seep in, right? And so this is what happens. So then you become, shy, sad, embarrassed, depressed, angry, all these things, because you're lying to yourself. You're leaving yourself open for that demon to seep in. And the reason they show it to me like this is because it's not who you are. And that was what this person I knew as to be a really beautiful soul. And I was like, no, I know your heart is good. I know your heart is pure. And yet you have not been loving yourself. And because you haven't been loving yourself, you were susceptible to all these demons. And you've been carrying all these demons around, and you got to feed these demons, right? Until you kick them out, which is challenging, and shore up those spots, you're stuck being that way. And you don't like being that way, but you're not doing anything about it. And it's because it's become familiar to you and it's challenging to do something about it. So that's the choice you're making. And so it is sad when you see that, like when you see people you love get taken over by those lower energies, is essentially what's happening. Because this is debatable. You've heard me debate it on here so many times, because at their core, they're good. It's just how much of their core is left, right? Or have they split it off so far and wide all over the world with all their anger, hatred, jealousy, envy, all these lower energies? It's basically the demons eating and chipping away at their soul and tossing it out. And that's what we're doing when we're abandoning ourselves, when we're not loving ourselves, when we're not standing up for ourselves, all these things. And so you got to call all that power back. You have to do all that healing. You have to eat through that karma. You have to relive those experiences to see them correctly, clearly, like all this stuff. And we can call that mental breakdown. We can call it spiritual warfare. We can call it so many different things, and people do call it so many different things. And you have to do what is right and true for you to get back to you, back to wholeness, pulling all that back, all that power back that you gave away. And see it for what it is, see the truth of it, so that you can clean up, shore up that spot, so that you stop giving it away, that you stop repeating that pattern, you stop doing that cycle. So nonetheless, this energy came, and it was somebody I knew and was apologizing and upset, and was like, no, I recognize that, I realize that. And I realized that because you were so taken over by those lower energies, even though I could still hear your inner heart, it's also awareness that, like, I have to still honor me, right? I can see, and you have to do your own work, just like I had to do my own work. And so by me staying, it's not helping you. It would just be feeding your demons, right? To me, it's such an easy way to see it and visualize it, to understand it. And so it was like, that sometimes people will misinterpret your actions and take offense to it, like we've spoken about in the previous few. And but that's just their work to do. It's always our own work to do. Anytime we have any adverse reaction to anything, it's our own work to do. It's our own warning signs. It's our own alert systems. It's our own alarms going off, going, whoa, 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 something's here. We better take a look. Let's heal this up. Let's take a look. And so a lot of times people don't take a look, or they don't even know why they're doing what they're doing, or what's leading them. And I'm trying not to get personal, give you too much information. But this energy also really liked playing cards and was really good with numbers, which I find really interesting. They interpreted what the universe was trying to teach them in a very unique way, as we all do, yet they didn't take it far enough. They didn't go far enough. And I think that's often what happens with a lot of us, where we think we know, or we think we get it, or we feel better, but we could feel even better if we kept going. And so we stop short at many stops. And I remember one time somebody saying to me something along the lines of like, you still have more spiritual work to do, even when we don't think we do. And boy, have I been there many a times where I have felt so incredible. And so it was usually when I would feel so incredible, like really connected, really at peace, really good in my body, my mind, my soul, like really felt aligned, that somebody would make that comment. And it's only happened once or twice, but I think that few of times, so it could be that shocking to me. So it would alert me. Where it was like, oh, they must be picking up on somebody else or something because I feel so good. And yet, like I'm saying, if it was a trigger, and it wasn't necessarily a bad trigger, but it was brought to my attention, right? Like that's an odd thing to say when I feel so good, so connected, so whole, so healed, so well. And of course, I take a look. And so the more I kept taking a look and the more I kept diving deeper, yes, it was challenging. Yes, it is challenging. But there was many, many lessons there that they're diving into right now. And I'm like, let's not dive into all that. But the point being is there is always more. And you can always feel even better. Even when you think you feel amazing, there's always more to be done. And I'm so grateful that I was like, take heed to the warning kind of thing, or took notice to the trigger, or wanted to make sure, like, because it was almost like I didn't believe it. So it was like, oh, but maybe, I mean, I can't tell you how many times I thought I knew, more times that I think I know that I was wrong than I was actually right? Like that's what it is. It's like the more you know, the less you know. It's like the more you're opening yourself up to the reality of the possibilities, which are endless. And so it's the idea of don't ever think don't ever stop short. Don't ever think you're as connected or as close to God as you possibly can be, because we can always get closer. We can always learn more. We can always love ourselves more, which in turn love unconditional love more, right? That can always increase. So they're overlapping quite a few things right here. They're reminding me of quite a few people saying something. So oh God, please, one at a time. They're telling me, and all of the people that they're using as examples, I think would be well, not all of them, but I was going to say would be considered spiritual teachers or gurus, or this kind of language, this, leaders in that kind of industry, all making such absolute statements. I don't know what their point is here, because it's like they're making absolute statements, which the reason I'm hesitant, because I'm like, well, that was a clip in time. It's like when they didn't know better, even though they were leading people at that point, they still didn't know better, but they didn't know better, and they knew better than the people that they were attempting to lead. And yet, so this is what always happens. This is what always happens. This is why I tell you guys all the time, follow yourselves, because we see that happening constantly in history, where people, even if their intention is good to begin with, it veers off somewhere along the way, because then they wake up to the fact that they're not fucking God. They don't have all the answers, and they don't have all your answers. No one does. And the second they say they do, oh, good God, they're about to crash soon, because they don't. Of course they don't. So many times people will talk in absolutes, or talk like they know it all, or they're ahead of the pack, or they're whatever. And you could hear it who knows when. That's why I say sometimes I think they show me these clips in my mind, but they're of clips in time. They could have been 10 years ago, or could have been whatever. And maybe at that point they were the head of the game, but they're not now. And they never were then either, but they were ahead of their game, so to speak. So they thought they were the head of the game. And we all think that. We all, once you get really good at something, but this is where it's a fine line between confidence and arrogance. Why are you competing, and why do you need to be the head of any pack? And it's like the beginning of the downfall, because there's always going to be other humans that are wiser, smarter, more advanced, all these things, but it's a whole bunch of humans, and ultimately it's not going within and taking the guidance from the highest and greatest of all, right? And most people aren't even connected to it. That's why they form those versions of arrogance, only for God to let them know, hello, hello. You'll either learn or you won't, but you won't go out on top. That's for sure. And it is interesting. A lot of times people, they're flashing all these like gurus, I would call them, or spiritual teachers, or this kind of thing. That might be important to somebody. I'm not sure why they're showing specifically them, but they are showing specifically them. And I am searching through this crowd of people they're showing me to see but I think that's the umbrella that they're all under. And it is this, they think they know. They keep wanting me to say something, and I'm having a hard time finding the exact words they're looking for, and I'm having a hard time because I think I don't want to say them. Yeah, it's like I'm like on the verge of finding them because I can feel them, and yet I'm like, I think because I feel like I think the words they're having me reach for are specific enough that it would be calling someone out, which I'm not interested in doing. It's like everybody, again, has to do their own work. They have to recognize their own shadow. They have to, it's like, unless they're coming to me saying, do you see something I don't see? I'm not looking to, I'm not looking to bruise egos. Like, I've done that so often and so much, not knowingly. And whoo, right? People, when their ego gets bruised or smashed, boy, they bite. This is why you want people to ask for help, not give it. And I've done that innocently enough, more times than you can imagine, just because it's like a knee-jerk reaction for me. And I've had to take a look at that knee-jerk reaction. That's a problem, right? And it's causing me pain because people lash out. Nonetheless, okay, so let's get back. Okay, they're telling me to get back to this person who they want me to call out, which I'm not doing, who... Yeah, I guess often thinks they're at the forefront. But it's like, well, they are for them. But I guess it's like they're pointing out, because many of these people talk in absolutes or in definites or in such, I guess it's the wavering. It's like in such confidence. It's like versus sharing their truth. Thank you. There we go. It's like versus just sharing their truth, right? Where it's like, well, that's true for you right now, but you're speaking to this whole crowd as if you're above this whole crowd and as if you know, and as if that's like newfound information. It is for you, not for me. I knew that. I could have told you that 10 years ago. I'm happy that you caught up though, but you're acting like you're catching all of them up, and you're not always doing that. But the arrogance of it is not about the others. It's about you're hurting yourself. You're putting yourself or placing yourself in the position of God, of which you are not. We are all simply a piece. We're all simply a piece. So when we all can just stand in our own truth and say what's true for us or what we've experienced and share that and share our solutions and share our knowledge and share our skills, our tools, our art, our solutions, our findings, our understandings, our translations, however you want to say it, then it can be such a beautiful, blissful thing. But man, we start to, it's such a sticky, tricky thing. And I've had this debate with them and argued with them many times because people do need leaders, but it's like we need leaders who can keep themselves in check too, and or step down when they find they can't. But that's really challenging, right? Because most people get caught and swept up in the swirl of it. That is why that is the pattern you see throughout history, where it's like they were so good at one point and then they had a downfall, right? Well, it's because it's not that they were always evil or had bad intent from the jump. No, of course not. It's like they might have done really well and they had a really good intention from the start and it caught on and people liked it. And sure enough, it blew up the wrong side, right? It blew up the ego instead. And sure enough, that will get smashed. It will get pressed. And it does. So, and around we go. This is the cycle of life. This is for all of us to experience and learn and evolve. Or not. Right? Okay. I could go on for days. Thanks so much for tuning in and listening. You can now purchase an audio journey with me using the link below.